Hello and welcome, chaotic people. This is the Otter Chaos Games podcast. My name is Kyle, and these are my co-hosts, Jackson and Rob. Today we're going to be talking about world building, how to create a community, and our own personal world airing tour. Come sit with us. Jackson, what do we got today?
Thank you very much for the introduction, Kyle. We have our very first episode of the Otter Chaos Games podcast.
Woo!
And woo! Hopefully we didn't just destroy somebody's ears. I don't know if we've got the mics balanced. But I think...
Headphone warning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry.
Headphone warning.
I'm just
honestly,
excited.
if you're the kind of person who clicked this video, A, thank you. But B, you're probably wondering, what the heck is Otter Chaos Games? So, I mean, we have an introduction, we have a name, but you can't know much beyond that. So, Rob, how about you take us into what is Otter Chaos Games? What's our goal? What's our mission?
Our goal right here is to create a community that is basically geared towards the dungeon masters. Because let's face it, the players have plenty. Now, if you have never dungeon mastered, but you're thinking about it, if you just want to make life easier for your dungeon master, or if you are an experienced dungeon master and you want hints and tips and tricks and a community to share your hints and tips and tricks, then that is what we are trying to create.
Fantastic. And so hopefully all prospective and existing dungeon masters, you're sitting by the fire with us. For those who are listening audio and can't see the video, we have a very realistic representative roaring campfire
Oh,
on
yes,
the table in the middle.
yeah.
It's quite warm. It's quite toasty. in
Oh
here.
my! I don't even want to touch it.
The noise gates are really good. That's why you can't hear the crackling.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I'm a master audio technician, as I'm sure everyone can hear. So, yeah. I mean, that's a great introduction to what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to build that community. We're trying to give DMs resources. But, Rob, where does that come from? I mean, how does one arrive at a scenario where they're like, DMs need blank?
Well, the summer of 2025, we were sitting around talking and wanting to do something more in the D&D space. And I have had the opportunity to talk to almost 100 different game store owners in past endeavors. And one of the things they told me over and over again is that they would love to run more D&D events, but it doesn't really help them a whole lot. Not like running Magic tournaments or Pokemon or doing Warhammer, thank you. And good job, Kyle. And so I was thinking, how can we do that? What more could we bring to the table? And as much as I love sitting down with my friends and a table of six and whatnot, there were events that I got to play in the early to mid noughts.
That's 2000s for people who don't speak in that strange Navy language.
What do you call
The double O's?
decade? The double O's?
No, you never call
I
them.
always
That'd be
call
sick,
them the
though.
aughts.
I'm going to start calling them the double O's.
Okay,
That's,
the double O's.
that just came to me.
Oh, my
I'm
goodness.
going with James Bond. That's the answer.
Any case, so
Agent 002.
in that 2005 to 2007 era, there was Living Greyhawk, and we could go into a lot of detail what that was, but you would go to conventions and play modules written specifically for the Greyhawk world, but Saturday nights were special epics, and you would have 4 to 8 tables, each with their own DM, and then there was a master DM in front of everything, and the modules were written for things to be happening at each table that were similar but not the same, and what was going on was affecting the other tables. And so, I like to describe if playing D&D with your 6 friends is a dinner party, this was a kegger. I mean, this was fun.
I would have maybe
right?
gone for Gala, but I see Kegger.
But I probably shouldn't be advertising too much drinking because it was wild without the alcohol. It was fun. It was, tables hollering at one another, people getting up, milling around, so on and so forth. So we sat down and we decided to create a business around this, and we worked on it, and we put our first modules together. And of course, you guys remember we ran that first module and got everything back, just great returns and all that. But we ran into a problem, and then when we showed what we were doing to the game store owners, they told us a bigger problem. It was the same problem. It was, how do I find enough DMs to run this?
Exactly.
And so we sat down and we scratched our head and thought really hard until our heads got hot and the fleas started to jump off. And thought, okay, well, we need to create a community of DMs and start talking to them and find out what they need and and start providing some of that and build that community. And we'll do that. And then if we do a really good job with this, maybe someday we can, tap into those same folks, provide them what they need to want to run these cool epic modules with us.
The modules are actually sick. Like, I gotta interject here. That was an excellent business pitch. It had polish, it had everything, but I gotta cut in and just say they're actually really awesome. I've played a lot of D&D.
Okay, now I'm
And
just
as the head writer, I take all credit.
Did you see how he just jumped in?
I know, he
immediately.
did.
And
Just
the first
cut
thing
me
I'll
off,
say,
too, right?
the first thing I'll say other than the introduction is that I'm the head writer. I'm the creative brain. That was literally you guys. That's what you just did.
and I was going to say something to appreciate. Hey, as the Gen X guy here, what is sick is good, right? But I knew it. I was just hamming it up.
So Kyle, actually, you segued me pretty well here, because really I have a question that if I'm putting myself in the mind of the listener. Now you know who we are. You've got a name for each of us. You've got a name for our company. You've got a vision for what we're trying to do, why we're even having this podcast. But one of the things we haven't discussed is why do we have any authority to talk about this?
Oh.
Who are we? We're just three dudes around microphones. Kyle, tell me a little bit about your experience as a DM. And given that experience, do you think anything is missing from being a DM? Anything that you would like to have?
Well, I first started DMing actually about 5 years ago. I started it as a job. I was thrown into the deep end with one pre-written module and a DM's guide and a player's handbook. Never played it before. Sorry, I had played it before, but I'd never run before. Never even come close to running before. But I got this really good group of friends around me, and it was so fun that I have continued doing it even since that game shop shut down. I have continued to play it every single Saturday with my friends. We've created homebrew world after homebrew world, amazing characters. And one of the things that I didn't like about D&D is that all of their pre-made modules sucked.
Holy crap.
Wow. I mean, we're just throwing bombs here,
Over the
aren't we?
battlement, episode 1. We're
Just
Yeah, I know, right? Wizards, we love your products. We just don't love your modules. So.
We is Kyle, the head writer, so take it out on him.
when I say sucked, I don't mean they were overtly bad for new players, but for someone who has played for a while, I didn't like them because they got old.
Formulaic.
They were and possibly because so many of them have been around for so long, and there's not enough new things coming around. All the stories have gone stale. There's the same set of magic items they had for about 12 years now, with very little additions. It just wasn't interesting anymore to run the pre-made, so I moved completely to doing homebrew.
Yeah. I'll jump in the hole with you. I've run several of the modules. I will say the Lost Mines of Phandalin are pretty good, but Candlekeep, I thought the first chapter was great, and then everything else kind of stunk after that. And
Rob, give your ethos for this review. Tell me, so Kyle's been DMing for 5 years. How long have you been in the game?
Oh my gosh. So let's see now. I started playing in 1981, so what?
100 years.
You're an engineer. You should be able to do the math a little bit.
I was just guessing. I was approximating.
Yeah, that's true. 45. So to a first order, you were there, right?
We would have to. We would have to carbon date his books.
Oh my gosh.
True, yeah. We take them to the museum.
We've got to do that in a later podcast. I have the books for every edition going back to the red and the blue box set.
Really?
And I've got a buddy who has the chainmail books.
Oh,
so
it's
Tom.
Oh yeah, it's Tom.
Yeah. So Tom is not one of us.
Tom,
Not an alter ego or anything.
Not
We're
one
not
of
going
us.
that deep.
I'm Rob. That's Kyle. That's Jackson.
So you've been playing for
those of you who've already
45 years.
forgotten.
Yeah. Now I have to say, I've taken breaks. Life gets in the way and whatnot. But on and off for 45 years. So, and most of that time I've been the DM. A friend of mine put it out to me that, DMs are either frustrated actors or frustrated storytellers. And I think there's a third category. There is the DM that is the DM because nobody else will do it too.
Yeah.
I would probably put myself more on the storyteller than the actor.
Sure.
Because I do want to tell a good story, but I really like playing too, which a lot of DMs want to focus strictly on DMing. Don't both of you guys rather DM than play?
Yeah,
I'm like kind of 50-50 to be honest with you. I have some fun characters.
Okay, so
I enjoy playing for a short time, but I love to DM for a long time.
yeah.
If you're playing a game with me, you're in for the long haul.
And that's one thing that I think would be just so good if we got engagement with the other DMs and whatnot, is to, look at all those different aspects, the folks that want to DM and play, the ones that want to strictly DM, and what their particular needs might be.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have those conversations.
Yeah.
And let's build things and come up with better tips so that we can tell great stories and not rely on just Wizards of the Coast to have us buy one of their books.
Yeah, man. So that's Rob. As has been said before, my name is Jackson. I've been DMing for about 5 years as well. Actually, I've probably been playing D&D for 5 years. I think I've been DMing for 3 of the 5 years. And the reason I started DMing was honestly that, growing up, I loved writing little stupid stuff, be it stories or poems or whatever. That was bad, and it was bad every time. But it was a good outlet for me to just have some free time, express some creativity. And what I always found, and Rob, you probably know this better than a lot of people, I love interjecting my ideas. I love hearing somebody say something and go, oh yeah, but what about this too? And when I was playing as a player, I would constantly have these moments where I would think, oh, that's so cool, but what if this happened? And then eventually I kind of I got gifted a scenario, honestly, where I had 5 people come up to me and say, hey, you've played Dungeons & Dragons before, right? And I said, yeah, absolutely. Like, we want to play a game. I was like, oh, perfect. Easy peasy. I'll run it for you.
Yep.
So I have like almost the exact opposite experience of you guys, though. I've never run a canned module. I've never even played a canned module, to be honest with you. My DM, who first started me out, all homebrew. Everything I've ever made, all homebrew. Everything I've ever run, all homebrew. I've never even played a canned one-shot. I mean, I'm kind of coming from like the hippie camp. Like I'm over here with artisan coffee while you're talking about, the canned modules, which gives me the perspective, I think, to opine in the sense that I have a very personal relationship with story development in D&D. I think that as good as it is to like have characters that exist, and to be able to play something that's simple, you have all the cards, you know where it's going.
Right.
I mean, part of the fun, and ultimately what we're trying to address about DMing, part of the fun is your ability to interject your personality. To be a member of the table, even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it because you're not one of the players.
Yeah.
But that's really, honestly, and this is not.
You
meant
are
to be
one of the players. I love telling people who don't know how to play D&D of my age. I likened it to an episode of Friends. You had the 6 main characters.
That's fair.
And then you had the DM, and he did everybody else. So everybody else in the scene that wasn't one of the main characters, he played everyone else.
I was going to say with the show Friends. I mean, that almost worked.
Well, okay, that's true, but it was a early evening sitcom, so they didn't show any of that, of course. So
I'm just saying.
But okay, so but as the DM, you get to play everybody else. Which in some ways is very challenging because you don't get to get in depth unless you got a really good bad guy and you build them up and you don't let them die, which is kind of, that's almost railroading if you do that.
Yeah, if you yoink them out with teleport too many times.
Yeah. Although I got to admit, there was this one campaign and it was actually, I ran out of material and I used a canned module for, just sort of a quick and dirty, one shot for this high level party, and they were 13th, 14th level, and they took on a 17th level mage.
Yeah.
And not one of those goofballs ever, got, dimensional anchor or something like that. So there were 4 or 5 encounters before they finally took this guy out, and every one of them, he would mess them up and frustrate the heck out of them. And just go all evil bad guy and rant at him and whatnot. And then when he started losing, pop, he teleported out. And I was just sitting there going, I know this is getting old. I don't want to do this, but I mean, that's how that guy would have gone, right? He would have come up with something over the top. He would have brought his plan out on the players. When the players foiled him, and he was down to a quarter hit points, he'd pop out.
Oh yeah,
done.
Oh,
In a way, it kind of got fun. It was so annoying, it got to be fun.
yeah,
So,
you were stymieing them.
so, and I think that's one thing that we really need to get into here is making the game more fun for the DMs.
Sure.
And
Was
so-
that the guy whose cannon they stole and then they drowned him?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That was a great answer. 'Cause now,
I had to think about it.
Completely out of context.
Yeah.
so I think that's honestly as good an introduction as we're gonna get.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a taste for what we've done and everything like that. Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's very interesting that none of us play in each other's campaigns.
No.
So, but your original question was why us, right? And,
Yeah,
and wanted to
that's a
talk
good
about our background. I think the fact that we're interested in talking about this and we're wanting to build this community, in the age of the internet, the way it used to be 20 years ago, when people just had something to say and wanted to create a community out of that, we're kind of harkening back to that. We don't need to have 50 years experience apiece or 100 years to start the conversation.
Yeah.
We're here to learn as much as we are to teach.
Yeah.
We don't need 50 apiece. Thanks to him, we have 50 on average.
So yeah, and I mean honestly, that the goal of that first little bit there, and this is for you as well, the viewer, is you got to know where we're coming from. You got to see the vision behind this, the heart behind this. We're not, all venture capitalists sitting on a huge bank of money just waiting on the stocks to go up. We're doing this because it's fun, because we love it, and because honestly we hope it goes somewhere. And hope it makes people's DMing experience better, and we can bring forward some value. And some
The
teaching.
original concept was to have these epics and create D&D communities at game stores.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, there is a crisis of community, especially here in the United States, and we're taking a step back from that to address the DM problem. There's more people who want to play than want to DM, and so we're going to create a community of DMs first. So at the end of the day, that's what we're about, community.
Indeed. And on top of creating a community, we're also creating a world. I mean, that's something Kyle mentioned, and it's very literal in our mission. We are building these modules, right? We're building out the world that they're going to take place in. And something that we considered when we were talking about what's this show going to be, right? What are we going to do? We could sit around and tell you about stories all day, and we will. And we could hopefully tell you about all of the wonderful things we've encountered in this game, and we will. But something that I think each of us acknowledges there is a little bit of a lack of, or rather, there could be more useful examples of, is world building advice. How do you do it? Right? And all of us do it differently.
Yep.
We can kind of give our individual insights and discuss just what does it look like to build a game if you want it. Right? So what we thought would be interesting, we'd love to hear your opinion in the comments about this part of the podcast, is we're going to go over things about our world. We're going to give you a brief history, a brief backdrop, kind of what's going on. And then from there, we're going to do work. We're going to advance the story forward as we would if we were preparing for our own campaigns. And that hopefully will give you a window into how prepared do you need to be? What kind of questions do you need to answer versus not?
Right.
And is it even fun to do this? Like, is it fun to sit down on a random weeknight and build out your world for your players? And I think it is.
Yeah.
So, Rob, I know I've asked you a lot, so I'm going to lean on our creative writer here, our lead writer.
Yes. Our lead writer, yes.
Yes, indeed. I'm the other writer, by the way. Kyle. Come on, that was it. Kyle, what is Erin Tor?
Erin Tor is the world in which our adventures take place. It will be focused mostly around a small set of islands and the people therein, but it already has built, we have already built quite a lot of Erin Tor in different factions and political beliefs, races and peoples and social conventions. These will not be introduced anytime in the near future because they are all incredibly rough, but we are building it all out.
Sure. So I think that one of the elements to talk about in this world is, and this is a great thing to discuss as a starter DM as well, or even experienced DM, a world should have a hook, in my opinion. It should have a draw, right? So in a lot of my worlds, as you guys have heard, my draw is normally some weird system, right? Some thing that makes it unique. I love the idea of time changing the way the world works, or there being some sort of. I have one that's rotational right now, which is very vague, but it's awesome. I really love it.
It's pretty cool and weird all at the same time.
Love it. So, the thing that I think is really cool about that is our world does have a hook.
Yeah, it
and
does.
Rob, I know it's your baby, so I want you to explain. What is the hook?
Well, this came out of discussions with both of you guys. So, but the hook here is spirit wood. So there is a type of wood that grows, and it grows in these groves that have magical mist, and it actually absorbs some of that magical mist, and presents special properties. And so spirit wood is very rare because it's only can be grown in these special groves, and has wonderful properties in making magic items. It can be burned, and it burns 10 times hotter and faster than regular wood. It has exceptional strength and whatnot for building and whatnot. So it's kind of an uber material that is driving the economy. And so Arene Tor is a world that has one massive continent and 4 major powers vying for power, kind of leaving the Middle Ages into the Renaissance period. And then all of a sudden, this island is found that is covered with this mist. And so there is a race to colonize and to grow the spirit wood and then ship it all the way across the world back to the main continent. So it's a gold rush. And that magical mist tends to warp and modify, mutate some of the creatures there. So it's a fantastical world to be explored as well.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do a hook. That was masterfully done. 45 years of experience on full display there. But yeah, I mean, again, like...
Wow, this podcast is going to be very good for my ego. A lot of people would have said that my ego didn't need any help. So.
Right. Any more inflating, you won't fit in the door.
Yeah, right. That's why I have the hat on, to keep my head from swelling too much.
Yeah, exactly, flying away. I mean, at the end of the day, though, from DM to player, you want it to be interesting.
Yeah.
Your players should want to play, especially that first session.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always a slog. You got to make character sheets, and for those of you who haven't DM'd before, just wait for that when you got to make character sheets with your players. Oh my goodness! But
Session 0.
Yeah, session 0. But when your players show up wanting to play, even at the barest hint of a good hook, it makes them invested. It gives them weight in the world. It makes it worthwhile to not die, which is definitely beneficial in just keeping engagement up.
And so that's a big point of world building, right? You want to create enough detail so
Absolutely.
that they're hooked,
Yeah.
that it feels real, but not so much detail that you're boring them with exposition. And so that's where one of the lessons in storytelling is you got to tell them enough to make them want to keep going, but not so much that they're bored. So you got to tell them just enough to do the next thing, and that way they're very focused on what you're telling them.
Yeah.
And then when they go run their nose into the next big problem and they want more information, you're ready to give that to them as well.
Yeah.
So
Any thoughts, Kyle? Any jump-ins at that point?
No, I can't think of anything.
No problem. So I mean, like, here's a good point, or here's a good thing I want to talk about. And again, this is us trying this out, getting a feel for whether or not people want to watch this world build while we go.
Yeah.
But Rob's giving you the hook, right? Honestly, that's a great description. But how old is this world, right? We know there's spirit wood, we know there are powers, we know there's a continent. And for the people who are listening, and especially if you haven't built a game before, when I ask that question, I don't mean I need a specific number, 100% defined, that is make or break until the end of time. It's more to start the thought process, because what if your players stumble into ruins? How old is it? What you say in that moment may matter. Do you say 1,000 years? Do you say 100 years? Do you say 5,000 years?
Yeah.
Because even if you feel like you just got an answer out there to satisfy them, they'll remember weird things that you did not think they were going to remember.
Yeah.
Like the name of a statue in a dungeon randomly. It'll just come to them and be like, oh, whatever happened to that guy? And you have to explain it. So having a bit of an inkling of these things can be helpful. So how old is the world?
Well, that is a point of debate among the people within the game. And to be quite frank, it's a bit of a point of debate in real life.
Yeah, sure.
I was just thinking that when you were asking the question, that it is a big debate. I think you can consider that the people who live in Arringtor might think it's only 1,000 years old.
Sure.
But they're going to find out that it's older.
Sure. Right. And
Is that a fair way to put it for now?
I think that's a fantastic way to put it.
Okay.
Sure. So shall we say written history is about 1,000 years old?
Yeah.
Oral history,
if
1,000
that,
years old?
even if that far.
So maybe oral history is 1,000 years
Yeah, I
old,
think
and
that's
written history is more like 500.
Right.
It's a very young world.
Sure.
I mean, we are coming out of the Dark Ages.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we are just coming into the Renaissance period. So.
And again, to somebody building a game, that detail matters.
Right.
They find a scroll. How old
Right.
is it?
Yeah.
Continue, Rob.
Well, so as we go into the Renaissance period, Spiritwood has so many applications. I think they're going to be entering the Renaissance period and the Industrial Age kind of at the same time, which is going to create all sorts of fun chaos, and that's in our name.
Yeah, I was about to say that was shoehorn.
There you go.
But yeah,
We are all about otter chaos.
indeed otter chaos,
We
which
need
is a
to
good
raid
pun.
zoo. Just get our own little mascot.
Yeah, commit a couple felonies on camera. I think that's made a lot of podcasts
Okay.
successful.
So
Actually,
everybody, I just want to say, if any otters go missing in your community, we were here.
yeah, we were here. Check the time. No, but now that you bring that
You
up,
might be asked to testify.
Kyle, how many podcasts? I feel like there are a lot of podcasts and prank channels that have succeeded because of felonies. I mean, maybe this is the wave.
What?
Maybe, Rob, you don't know anything. This is the game. Speeding and cutting up in traffic on camera, being
Yeah.
a general nuisance in public. I mean, that's really popular these days.
Destruction of property.
Yes.
Oh, there are podcasts around this sort of
Well,
crap?
it's more like a stream. But I was going to say the people who do that then go on to be on podcasts.
You could argue that a true crime
so old.
podcast is based on felonies.
No, that's reaching. No. I'm talking about, it would be like if a true crime podcast had the host be like, so when I murdered this guy.
Microphone
Right in the
down!
middle of a good bit, too.
Microphone down! Why keep it in? I'm the klutzy old guy.
So we might as well at this point.
I was about to commit a felony on the podcast. But yeah, I mean, aside from our brief, discussion about internet culture and whatever that's becoming, I think it's really important, just to look at your story as from a high view. Let's put it that way, from a high level. 1,000 years old, 500 years written history. Easy. Don't spend too much time on it. You don't have to tell your players. We're not going to, aside from people watching this, we're not telling y'all. You're going to figure it out for yourself in the little details.
When I'm putting together a new world, I'm just stream of consciousness throwing notes down.
Oh, yeah.
And then once you've got a page or two, you're starting to organize that. And so there might be thoughts of what happened 2,000-3,000 years ago. You don't have to have it all developed right then and there.
Right, exactly.
Soon you focus in really tight on what you got to have for the next game.
Mm-hmm.
But, you're constantly coming back and adding things to it. It just kind of grows with the game.
Yeah.
So,
I would definitely agree with that. And there are different kinds of DMs who can allow for different levels of preparation. And sometimes the ones that you don't prepare for can be the absolute best. For example, recently I was running a WotC module, the name of which I'm not going to mention because I don't know if I should. And
was it good or bad?
it was okay.
Mention the name now.
It was interesting for a while, and then it just kind of got blasé. But one person was sick in my group. 2 didn't even show up because they had other things going on. One was sick. One was having family troubles. And so with me and the other 3, well, technically 3.5, because one was sick participating over Discord, people who were here, we were like, okay, we had a couple other ideas, but it's not appealing to everyone. I'm going to make up a game on the spot. And the 4 of them loved it so much, they're like, Kyle, we don't want to play this module anymore. We want to play this one shot, and we're going to make you build it out as a whole campaign.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just the mark A of a good storyteller, but B of like knowing your audience, right?
That
Well,
also-
I got to say though, and this is kind of going to the different types of DMs and whatnot. I don't think I could ever do that. I have watched you run games, and you are an amazing ad-libber. I'm just floored between that and the all the voices that you can do, and this is the frustrated
Those
actor, I think.
tricks a little hobbit size. Those stars that
We're gonna get copyright stricken. Don't do that. It's gonna come for us. Warner Brothers is gonna have us.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a community where you got to keep our secrets,
Exactly.
too, right?
Don't share your secrets in the comments. No, we don't want any felonies associated with it.
Just be glad I didn't do Stitch, because then we'd have the mouse after us.
Oh my gosh.
You can't have the mouse. Another great piece of advice for newbie DMs: do not publish anything infringing on the mouse.
Yep.
You will suffer the wrath.
You most certainly will.
So, I mean, I'm gonna push us into our question 2 here, just to keep us rolling.
Let's go.
Let's hear some builds. So, the other thing that I thought about that is important in storytelling and often in D&D is one of the most pivotal moments of a campaign is when the players get a map, right? Whether it has the fog of war on it or whether it's completely revealed so that they know what's around them.
Right.
The map is a huge part of the game. I think it always has been.
Yep.
So we know a part of the map that we're focusing on for our modules. We've got it pretty down, but that's not actually the part of the map I want to talk about. The big continent, the powers we mentioned earlier, right?
Right.
We kind of have a rough outline, but what biomes are on that continent? Why does that matter? What biomes do the powers occupy? Is one of them a desert power? You know what I mean? What are we dealing with?
I don't know off the top of my head if we do have anything with deserts. I do know for a fact that we have some, at least one area that resembles England as a whole.
Sure.
And there are definitely some mountainous biomes. And of course, we have coastal. But this world is mostly water, more so even than Earth itself. So there's not a whole lot of areas where it's arid.
Okay.
But there is quite a lot of forested and tropical areas, and that is also most likely where the majority of the story is taking place in forested and tropical areas, with maybe the exception of a desert island or on the sea itself.
So, on top of that, so obviously, listeners, we're still kind of fleshing this out. I was at a museum and saw different representations of Pangea. I think I'm saying that right. Pangea.
Yeah.
And really interesting, as it went through, 10 billion or 10 million years ago, or I think it's 100.
What did it
million
look
years
like back
ago.
then, Rob?
Yeah. Well, it looked like one big continent, but you could see where things.
Well, I
were
meant
starting-
like what it looked like when you were there.
What did it look like?
Yeah, 10 million years ago.
Oh God. Oh my God.
So how did you survive the asteroids?
Who are you running games with back then?
The dinosaurs. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Well, I see how this podcast is going to go.
You can come for me in a minute. Go ahead.
The only person older is
Oh, yeah, we're cutting
I
that.
got it. Oh. I thought Jeff the Killer. My brain was on copy like creepypasta mode. Like wait, 2015. Anyway, continue.
So, in case, if you look at the center of a lot of the continents, the American Midwest, the Sahara Desert, the Gobi, in China and whatnot, they tend to be in the center of the continent. So while we do have a bigger continent, or a smaller continent that has all of this going on, I think we'll have deserts in the middle, or at least I was going to present it to you guys that way.
I like that.
And those are natural barriers that have allowed these 4 different civilizations to come together or to create at the same time. And now the technology is just starting to grow to the point where they're interacting with one another. And of course, it's human nature. We interact and sometimes we quarrel. But that's great for adventurers and whatnot. Although I do think that we're looking at these 4 different entities as vying with one another as opposed to just open conflict.
Sure.
But of course that can always happen too.
Yeah, like space racing with each other.
Yeah,
they're trying to
space racing.
outcompete.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. So yeah, I mean, desert in the middle, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that in the continent as well, I mean, we could go very basic. We could have 4 corners where each of them occupy. I know we have
Right.
like a rough sketch.
Right.
But at the same time, I do kind of, I mean, I don't want to go full Avatar The Last Airbender, but when you have 4 powers and you have a central continent, it's easy to kind of at least segregate them into biomes, right? So maybe one of them is a mountainous culture, maybe
Yeah.
the other is not. Maybe they're more coastal, right? Or maybe one of them is good at living in the desert. And the reason that matters, I mean, at least for us, is because the players are going to be pretty far away from a lot of these powers, and via naval methods, right? They're going to be far away on ships or doing other things. It'll matter which they can have influence with or over, given their position, right? If we have a desert climate, they're not going to be seafarers. They're not going to be the Vikings, but maybe there are Vikings. Maybe there's something that's analogous.
And this is a Dungeons and Dragons sort of environment. So if these 4 powers are primarily human, which we haven't even decided that yet, there are all of the other demi-humans. That's an old term. I don't know. Well, we don't even call them races anymore. We call them species now. So
that was rolled back, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're technically they're races again, but some people do also still call them species. It was a decision by, I think it was WotC, that a lot of people objected to, but they made that decision because there was this other group of people demanding it, so it's up to personal taste at this point. It doesn't matter that much.
Okay, well, we can say the dwarves and the elves and the halflings and everybody else are, I mean, I would like to see these 4 powers be somewhat integrated.
Okay.
But, I mean, we do need to...
So they're not nationalist powers. They're not like a power of dwarves and a power of elves exclusively.
I don't know. I mean, we haven't really gotten that far because we've been focused so much on these islands on the other side of the world.
Hint, hint.
Yeah. That are being explored, and where all of this gold, spirit wood, is being created and shipped back to
brutal.
I know, just like. So sometimes when you're talking to your players, you really have to hit them with those plot hooks with a club. I mean, really, it's amazing how many times I've had to go, did you forget this? So you don't want to do that. So you just kind of gently remind them over and over and over again sometimes.
In writing, I've always
sometimes you remind them with a big stick.
Yeah, that's true. A big monster. Challenge rating 15.
Sometimes you punish them for forgetting.
So I'd always heard in writing that you were supposed to assume that your readers were smarter than you were giving them credit for. Like if you were writing a mystery plot or a plot that had a twist at some point, you were supposed to just assume that they're going to be thinking about theories the whole time. And that given they don't have your perspective, they have a fresh mind. They're going to be able to piece together what you're doing if you're any good at it. But I would say with D&D, I kind of agree with you. Like, the players have so much going on that I have rug pulled them with things, and I don't even think they were bad rug pulls. They just surprised them. I've caught them off guard with things that I thought were just blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
I thought it was staring them in the face for the last 3 sessions. They knew it was coming, and then it would happen. They're like, "No, what?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, you guys, I've been speaking in a voice in your head for the last 3 sessions, and it never occurred to you that wasn't the voice of your party."
Yeah.
But it's because the player's also managing their sheet and all that stuff, so you really do sometimes have to pull out the club.
And one of the things that contributes to this, in my opinion, is where with a book or a story, you'll have that book and you'll have it done in like a week, a month tops.
That is true.
But with D&D, depending on the type of group you have, I play every week, but I know some people who only play like once a month.
Yeah.
I know a few people who play it once every other month because they're so damn busy. I think the standard is like every other week.
Yeah, that's probably pretty regular.
I really think that's a good point. When I ran campaigns in high school and I saw the people that I was playing with every day at school and whatnot, there was a constant reinforcement of what we did and what we were doing next, and what are we going to do this weekend, so on and so forth. Now I'm playing with 40 and 50-year-olds frequently, and we've got kids and grandkids, and we've got work and bills and this, that, and the other, and we get together every 2 weeks, and it's like the first thing after everyone sits down is, what did we do last time?
Yeah. The recap.
Yeah, to wit, in each game, somebody is assigned to basically recap what we did the last time.
Mm-hmm.
And if I think the recap is missing any, very salient detail, I'll gently go, did you remember the guy with the eye patch that, and the hooked nose that was singing on the top of the bar? See, I'm not good at ad-libbing like Kyle.
Did you happen to forget the dragon that you stuffed in a bag of holding?
Well, that's impressive, man. I'm telling you. Wait, can you do that?
Stuff a dragon in a bag
Buy
of holding?
pieces, right?
Buy pieces, and
It's a
if
500
it's
pound
small
limit.
enough. Well, it's a 500-pound limit.
Potato.
Okay, you can stuff a pseudo dragon.
If you're not doing it homebrew.
For sure.
But remember,
But it would also depend on
if you don't
age.
take him out in 10 minutes, he's going to suffocate.
That's true.
That's
all
usually
all
the
little
idea.
pieces are gonna.
That's usually the idea I've found.
Well, no, with a pseudo dragon, they're cool. They sit on your shoulder.
No, pseudo dragons are chill.
Yeah.
Pseudo dragons you keep around, but
Yeah.
and you don't want to kill a wormling because that's a baby.
Yeah.
But you could probably put
Also,
a young
remember-
dragon piece by piece in there.
The metallic dragons are the good ones. The chromatic ones are the bad ones.
But the chromatic ones are sick.
If it's shiny, it's your friend. If it's not shiny, kill it and steal its
Well,
bones.
hold on a sec. Can't a colored... not colored.
No, do go on. Do go on. No, don't admit that. That's the worst thing you could have followed that up with.
Oh, gosh.
He means a. I don't even know how to say that. I don't know.
Yeah.
If it's made out of crystals, engage in Shakespeare.
Oh, my gosh. I just...
Get a dragon.
Can-
Yeah,
a dragon of color? Is that what we're gonna say now?
Let's go DOC.
Chromatic dragon. Chromatic dragon.
Does a chromatic dragon need to not be shiny? Are they matte? I mean, that's where I was going
No.
with this.
I think that the metallic dragons are specifically like they radiate. It's like if somebody were to hold up, like a bright pan or something like that. The light ding. Whereas the chromatic dragons, like while they may be bright and maybe even slightly reflective, they're red or green or blue.
They're colorful in color palette ways, not in this is made out of metal ways.
So one of the first wizards I ever wrote actually had a pseudo dragon as a pet.
Okay.
And this is just I just love this idea. One of my buddies, shout out to Lauren, he helped me make the character. But the way the wizard worked is he was kind of this overall, very like mad scientist style wizard. He loved to tinker and collect all these enchantments and spells, and he had a laundry list of scrolls that he would just throw out at random. And one of the most fun things about being a DM, and this is my advice, they may not endorse this, but it's my advice. It's very fun to just tweak spells ever so slightly, not drastically change how they work, but change how they could be implemented so that it helps your storytelling. And this character and his pseudo-dragon had an agreement. So the pseudo-dragon was intelligent. He was actually a descendant of metallic dragons long ago. So it made him very intelligent. He was very capable of speaking, but he lacked the size. So he and the wizard teamed up. The pseudo-dragon would help him on his adventures, recovering magic items. He had a great sense for where treasure was, being a dragon. But in combat, he was always lacking. He never lived up to his ancestors. But the wizard had found an ancient enlargement spell that he could use on a scroll, and he could turn him into the size of a regular dragon. So this pseudo-dragon would get a buff briefly when entering combat, and he would get to live out his full destiny as a dragon. And they, as a pair...
And he lived for those moments.
Exactly.
Right?
He loved it. And so as a pair, those two would travel the lands and would collect things. And they were some of my players' favorite characters to run into.
Man, I want to steal that now.
Please do.
The only
But
thing
hey,
I can think of is from the
you guys
enemy's
can steal that.
perspective. The only thing I can think of is from the enemy's perspective. First off, if they didn't see it on the wizard's shoulder before they entered combat, it would be like, oh no, run away from the fire breath, and then they just get pelted by glitter.
Oh, yeah.
Or house cat becomes mammoth.
Oh, yeah. It was more House Cat becomes Mammoth because he loved to talk. He'd let you hear it if it was coming. And his name was Nezarak, or his name is Nezarak, Fang of the Eternal Flame.
So there was something like this. It wasn't with a pseudo dragon. It was with a raven or a crow in a very popular D&D webcomic, Order of the Stick. And when the wizard enlarged his familiar wanted him to sit on the familiar's shoulder and act like familiar.
That's pretty funny. I haven't thought about that.
And the wizard, who was very high level and very dour, was like, hell no. So
Spoilers, I haven't read that far. That's really funny. I got to see that now.
it's not that critical to the plot. So
the reason I brought
funny,
that
though.
up is specifically to answer your question, Kyle. Can you fit, or rather my question to you, can you fit a dragon in the bag of holding? I think you can fudge the rules a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's worthwhile, and obviously there are limits, and you should obey those limits. But, like, your players will get creative. If you say there's a 500-pound limit, I guarantee you one of my players will say, okay, well, I'm going to take all the little pieces and smoke them over the fire and get rid of all the water. Now they're lighter. And you're like, all right, well, maybe that works. And that's always what makes it fun.
I think once you bend the rules, I'm not advocating against it.
Yeah.
I do like it. Once you bend the rules, that the players expect that. So
Yeah.
you got to remember that.
Yeah.
And so it's frequently, I found it good to make it a special version.
That's
of,
fair. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's like it's not enlarge anymore. It's
Embiggen.
Jackson's enlarge. It's embiggen.
Yeah.
I'm slowly learning the Gen Z jargon. Slowly.
Yeah. I mean, I do that as well, and I
Yeah.
think that's definitely a good tool. I have one where I made a character have what's called a feather all, so it's like feather fall, but it works for anything. So if someone, like, he was fighting a troll who threw a giant rock at him and he feather alled it right before it hit him, so it did no damage, that kind of thing. Very fun spell.
I do two things with this. One, I will borrow from other systems.
Oh, for sure.
Straight up. For example, in Pathfinder, there is different levels of bags of holding. So you can get like level 1, and that's only 250 pounds, but you can go up until like 5,000 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing I do is homebrew spells taken from like third-party websites or made up by ourselves. And for the original spells themselves, some kind of magical item, whether that be a jewel or a powder, and I can control how rare or common it is. And if they succeed the right checks, they can use these little magical MacGuffins to empower their spells.
Yeah, like a catalyst.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it a little stronger.
Like having improved material and ingredients. Instead of having bat guano for a fireball, you already have napalm, and now you're making it blow up even more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. I can't say. I mean, I do that kind of, but napalm is specifically, I feel like I need to add. So, yeah. Moving
I know.
into our final question.
Okay.
For our story building, we're not talking about dragons of color anymore. What are...
I'm never gonna live that one
I'm
down.
half Asian, I can say that. What are...
Which half?
I made faces, by the way, for those who are not watching the camera. What are the everyman's problems in our world? And, that's a broad question, so I'll simplify some. We say that these powers are vying with each other. And I don't need to see a day in the life of Joe Schmo. But if our players, let's say they make it to the mainland, let's say they find an island that's inhabited, maybe a satellite, place of one of these powers, and they need a place to stay. And they go and talk to in every family, right? Very standard, working to get by. What are they doing? What's afflicting them? Do they care for spirit wood? Do they care for their rulers? How do they feel?
You want me to take that one?
Yeah, you go ahead and start, and I'll pitch in if I have something.
Okay. Everything comes down to food, clothing, shelter, especially in the Middle Ages, right?
Sure.
And so you would imagine that everyday man is focused on that. Farming and creating enough food and keeping the shelter fixed up and finding, or growing enough wool and whatnot to make cloth to stay not naked. So, and then of course,
Stay not naked.
and then of course, the government, in whatever form that takes,
Yeah.
should be helping him do that, but frequently isn't, right? I mean, ideally, the government is there to keep the other guys from coming and grabbing his food and wool and shelter.
True.
Keyword ideally.
Ideally.
Yes.
And sometimes they do, right? And sometimes they're like, hey, why don't you stop doing what you're doing and come help me grab somebody else's food and wool and shelter? And so, I mean, I guess that's humanity in a short shrift right there. So I don't know if I'm saying anything that's not terribly obvious, right?
No, okay, but that's a good point to launch from.
Right.
So you're everyman. Your party walks up to their house. You have a small cottage sitting in the English countryside, a farm of sheep behind them, rolling hills, a little bit of cloudy weather, mist rolling over the top, late afternoon. Your party's drenched by water. They knock on the door. A beleaguered farmer answers, tired from his morning duties and also tending to his family. And the things he needs from the party are food, water, wool, and shelter. And so if they can help in any way, he will be more compliant. There'll be things that he's amenable to.
Right.
And that's an important detail to know, right? Because your players might offer them gold. They might try to take things by force. And having a reasonable reaction from your NPCs is always good.
But to make that situation really pop for the players, you know that guy is used to barter.
Yeah.
So if you've thought, okay, he's got a collapsing roof, that the players could go up and with their strength, just fix right away. Or there's a massive rock in the middle of his stream that is causing flooding of his farm or something like that. Of course, that's kind of boring. So what we tend to go to is, hey, there's a pack of ravenous wolves that keep popping off his sheep, and he's afraid he's going to get one of his 5 kids, next. So those are obvious, hooks for the players to go on. And so what I would try to do is start with something very simple, like, hey, let's move this rock. Oh crap, you've moved the rock, and a swarm of something comes out, and now
Maybe
you've made things.
salamanders,
Yeah,
something.
snakes. Things have gotten worse instead of better.
Sturges. The sturges are coming for you.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. You kind of you get to have a secondary reveal inside the quest, which is good.
Yeah. So, and then if you're really thinking ahead, this guy is, while he's taking them out to the rock, he's complaining about the local baron, or he's, giving a little bit of exposition that kind of foreshadows the next thing the players are going to deal with.
Yeah, good point.
So to answer the question of do they care about spirit wood, I'd say that as it is starting to move into society, your peasant in the field is going to go, yeah, that's for the city folk.
Sure.
I'm not using that out here. I don't have access to it. It's expensive. I'm not even working for money. I don't have coin. I have food that I grew myself. So most of the people on the outer edges of society are not going to care, but the people in the big cities, even then, most of them have probably only seen it secondhand.
Sure.
And all of them go, wow, that's really cool. I wish I could have some, but it's ungodly expensive, and I have a family to feed. And even then, I would be saving up for a year to buy the simplest of implements.
Makes sense.
But then you build a set of handlebars that go on a plow, and you show the farmer that with spirit wood, he doesn't need an oxen anymore. He just walks along and drives this plow through his yard and whatnot, his farm, and he's plowing furrows without all of the this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden he cares a great deal about spirit wood. But that's where the players get to bring in their creativity, because every man would have exactly the reaction that Kyle's talking about. This is new to me, and I don't have time for this. I have to do the same thing I've been doing for the last 100 years.
Yeah, because it gets me food, water, and shelter.
Shelter and clothing.
And I have no way to obtain this because currency issues.
Well,
This also seems a little bit like a civilization that kind of like Victorian era that is transitioning into a capitalist system from a medieval system. And as such, most people just don't have money except for the rich. And where people are starting to get into capitalism in the cities, it's not spreading enough for everyone to care.
We're so in my bag. We're so in my alley. Only the rich have things, and everyone else. We're right in my bag. This is
So
my
when we
kind of
came
world.
up with this story,
I believe
I
that's
had to
called
tell-
history, my friend.
I had to tell both of these guys to tone back the macabre.
It's the best part, and you know it. It's the most fun when you write that gripping. I mean, so also you got to remember, and the listeners, you'll probably get what I'm talking about here. I'm from the Attack on Titan generation, right? Like that is one of the greatest shows that I've ever seen.
Wow.
And it starts out from the very beginning, just everything sucks.
Yeah.
There is no hope. And slowly there becomes one. And that's the hook that gets me the most. Same with like maybe The Walking Dead's a good example. I like there being kind of this power that you have to go against.
You know, I have not
whatever
watched
it is.
The Walking Dead, but I didn't think it ever got better.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. So I'm talking about the early seasons because the early seasons, I think everything's set up well. Like, and this is a huge aside, but this is actually relevant to our conversation. Your story, right? Your world, kind of like we just talked about. We can sit down in 10 minutes and nail out how the everyman feels, and that's important. And in the same vein, you should have almost, I would say, a vibe. I would almost use the idea of a flavor for how your world feels to play in. So the one that I run the most right now, I mean, it is a well fleshed out, not from my end, but within itself, within the world, a well fleshed out political structure. There are no gaps. Nobody is looking to let anybody come up. It's very well defined. Everyone knows where they are. There's a lot of political vying, but that's it. So the players found themselves. I mean, the way I wanted to communicate that to them without having to go into a long spiel, they started in prison. I told each of them on your character sheets, come up with a reason you got arrested. It could be true or not. I don't care if you got arrested for committing a crime or falsely accused. But that immediately communicates from session one when I start describing the damp cell and the creaking and groaning of the vessel that they're in. It's oppressive. You want to get out. Your instinct is that this system does not care for you and you need to break it. And I never had to say anything about it.
Yeah.
So as they go and as
Show,
I've
don't
talked-
tell.
Exactly. Which is hard to do when all you're doing is talking.
Yeah.
But as they kind of move through the world, I think that gives them a very nice flavor. It sets themes, right?
Yeah.
They're in this city, they hate it, they get outside. Outside's pretty.
Yeah. And what I've heard of your story, they are slowly moving up the ranks.
Yes.
And they're the only ones that are doing that.
And people are rallying to them because of it.
Yeah, I know. They just started a revolution, right?
That they did. They did. And that was, that's a whole, that'll be
Oh,
another
boy.
episode. How to manage a revolution.
That could be one all by
in
itself.
D&D, in D&D,
Yeah,
in
I know.
Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
All right. And in my case, while he says I'm macabre, I tend to run bright worlds. The players start off not by all being thrown together in a jail cell, but being told, hey, you guys have known each other for a few years now. You're all part of the same adventuring guild or something of that area. And you have been given the job to go help people. In a world where it's definitely medieval, it's definitely fantasy, it's feudalistic. But at the same time, the good guys usually win. And when there is someone bad who pops up, there's always someone around, and it just so happens to be you this time. The reason he says I'm macabre is because I like to consume horror media, and I like to make a lot of my enemies and villains horror movie inspired.
Yeah. And that's a great secondary point to talk about as well. Most of the great ideas in literature have not come from a vacuum. They've been inspired by others, right? They've been branches and teas off of existing things that were already great.
Yeah.
And not to say that anything we've done is particularly amazing. We haven't gotten all the reviews back. We haven't gone down in history.
Yeah.
But a great place to start is to look at things that have, right? I mean, D&D spawned off of Tolkien, right?
Yeah.
Technically
Yeah.
speaking. But just like you were talking about, Kyle, and just like I was mentioning, you like horror media. That can make a really convincing monster
Yeah.
if you have the ideas in your head.
Yeah.
I like things like Attack on Titan, right? Where there's this kind of specific, almost hopeless feeling that slowly gets better. So
Yeah.
that's how I structured the world.
And I like high fantasy, you
Yeah.
know. So I like almost steampunk. In fact, I kind of see our world getting a little steampunky there at the end. As I know we're a little not sure about that one, but
Magitech.
Magitech. All right, Magitech.
Later.
Magitech.
Stop doing ASMR while Rob is talking.
Can I do it too?
No.
This
Why
is the
not?
ASMR.
Because everything's on a stereo channel, so it's going to be coming through both ears when every single one of us are talking. It doesn't work.
This is the D&D ASMR channel.
Open your player's handbook to page 47.
Someone roll a die.
D100. This is your status effect. You're sleepy. All right.
Oh my god.
Go ahead.
Oh my
I got my
gosh.
cringy jokes out of the way.
I forgot where we were.
You were talking about high fantasy.
Oh yeah, I was just saying. You like the macabre. You like horror, and I like high fantasy. Almost to Magitech.
Yeah.
Magitech.
No. So, really, I mean, part of the fun also of making a world is if you haven't ever written anything, or even if you have, and at this point, I would like to point out, we would love your feedback. If you've written worlds and there are things that you think we should address or talk about, or that you want to add on to what we're saying, or even correct about what we're saying, tell us, please.
Yeah.
But I think something that really is undersold by a lot of the commentary I see about building a game, it's talked about how to do it, right? Here are your steps. Here's how you should build your first adventure. Here's how you should build your dungeon. And I love those videos. They're what got me started, quite frankly. And you and I have talked at great length about those. But something that I feel like is not really mentioned explicitly because it's hard to explain is, build something that you like.
Yeah.
Like don't worry about your players that much.
Absolutely.
They should matter. You should flesh the world out, but I wouldn't do as good building a bright world as Kyle would. Like, I've done it. It happens, but it's not my niche. It's not where I feel like I succeed, or at least in the moment when I was writing the story, it's not the story I wanted to tell.
Right.
And that's the biggest crux for me.
Right.
Tell the story you want to tell, because your players will care about your enthusiasm, your effort, your passion.
And so, that's probably what we ought to get into in future episodes. Is just the hook for the next thing is how to tell your story, but shape it in such a way that allows all the players room to explore in it and affect the outcome.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, Kyle, Rob, do you have any closing remarks for our viewers who've hopefully stayed around this long to listen to our incoherent ramblings?
If you've stayed this long, thank you very much.
Send us money. We'll start with Kyle. So.
And dice.
Yeah, and dice. You got
Send
any
us
closing
dice.
remarks for the players or for the listeners, Kyle?
Thanks for sticking around, chaotic people.
Indeed. Anything from you, Rob?
Hope to hear from you soon.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for watching the Otter Chaos Games podcast or listening to the Otter Chaos Games podcast. We appreciate you sitting with us. Go get a long rest. We've got first watch. See ya.
Oh, nice.
Say it again so we can close it out.
Go get a long rest. We've got first watch.
Excellent. I love that.